Welcome into Friday's ESPN FC Live. I'm Mark Donaldson alongside the former Chelsea midfielder Craig Burley and Luis Miguel Echegaray. Today, well, the international break, another one, is over until next month. So we're back to domestic action. And one of the big games in Europe this weekend is on Sunday. Liverpool against Craig's former team, Chelsea. I was looking at the odds for this one, Craig. It's the league leaders right now, Liverpool. Taking on a Chelsea side, you can get bigger than 4-1 to win at Anfield. Is that value?
I think that's decent value, isn't it? And bearing in mind the two of the bigger Premier League teams, even though Chelsea have been, struggling in recent years. I think 4-1, if you're into the old putting a few dollars on or a few pound on or wherever you're watching this, then that's not too bad considering the way Chelsea have started the season. The one thing I would say, I think Liverpool have lost 2 goals at home, 2 goals this season in the league. So in the league, they've been defensively quite strong. Obviously, it's been a relatively comfortable start to the season for Liverpool in terms of fixtures. They have, starting with this game, a much tougher run of 7 or 8 games, including Champions League games and some of the stronger sides in the Premier League. So this is definitely going to be the start of a much bigger test of Arne Slot's era at Liverpool, of his tenure. And it starts on Sunday. So, yeah, that's decent odds for Chelsea, who've looked a lot better going forward this season under Enzo Maresca. They've had their defensive problems. They've looked a little flimsy defensively with this sort of open style. But I'm presuming that Maresca will continue to play in the same vein, even though he's gone to Anfield. I don't imagine he's going to try and sort of park the bus. So it should be an exciting game.
Yeah, given what Craig said, LME, does that suggest goals? Because Chelsea middle to front, I remember when they went to Wolves and destroyed them. Does this suit Chelsea because Liverpool at home always come forward and always have a goal?
Yeah, I agree with Craig. It's going to be an entertaining matchup. And to your point, I think this game is about chaos against control. Because when you talk about chaos from a Chelsea standpoint, they've scored the most goals away from home after these matches ever in the history of the Premier League. They are the second highest scorers in the Premier League after Manchester City. We can talk about Cole Palmer, to me right now, the best player in the Premier League, 6 goals, 5 assists. We can talk about Noni Madueke, who has 4 goals, and combined, Madueke and Cole Palmer make for the most lethal duo in the Premier League. Nico Jackson is doing his thing, Jadon Sancho. So like Craig said, like Chelsea going forward are an absolute chaotic storm. I love it. They're very good at recovering possession. However, the control commas of Liverpool, who, by the way, have conceded the least. They have also been given one of the best defensive records in terms of control against anybody in the Premier League. To that point, they have had the easiest schedule, so to speak, at the beginning of this Premier League, statistically speaking. Things, as Craig said, is going to get much harder. So really, it's about Maresca's chaotic storm, Chelsea going all out against this Liverpool side that tries to do much better when they don't have the ball. So tactically, strategically speaking, it's going to be a really intriguing game. I'm very interested to see how this game begins. The first 15 minutes of this matchup hopefully will tell us a lot, because I do believe that this Chelsea gung-ho almost omnipotent way of trying to get some goals and trying to get some creativity going forward will be able to test the likes of Liverpool. It's going to be a really good game. The Gravenberch midfield against Chelsea's midfield is going to be a key component. Excited for this one for sure.
Yeah, Gravenberch against Cole Palmer. Craig, what's impressed you most the way Liverpool have started the season, and what's impressed you most the way Chelsea have started the season?
Chelsea, under Tuchel, who's been in the news this week, you may have noticed, and Pochettino, to a certain extent, although maybe a little better under Pochettino, became a little bit pedestrian in their build-up, a little bit slow, a little bit side-to-side, a little bit too much possession for the sake of it. And one of the things that I've noticed is that they have transitioned from winning the ball back to getting the ball in behind defences, particularly those that try and squeeze the game a little bit. I mean, the West Ham game was a non-event, really, because they left a bit of space in behind, gave up some bad possession. Before you knew it, Jackson was in behind, Madueke was in behind, Palmer was there, Jadon Sancho. They really have started breaking forward with a lot more pace. and playing a lot more longer balls, quicker balls forward, and obviously moving Cole Palmer after the first match of the season. I think it was the Man City game. They moved him centrally, where, of course, he's again having another outstanding season. So Chelsea going forward, it's been much quicker in the transition, and I think that's helped them. For Liverpool, it's been less pacey and less frantic as Jurgen Klopp's football was at times, and super exciting. It's been a bit more controlled, a little bit more measured, but it still has a bit of pace about it. So it's a little bit of a hybrid we're seeing with Liverpool at the moment, and I think they're in this title race. I don't like the talk of why they're not strong enough. I mean, the likelihood is they're probably going to fall behind at some point, but you're in it to win it until otherwise it's impossible. And I think they have to be believing that in the dressing room. But yeah, there's a subtle change in sort of both sides. And I think the other thing from Liverpool is when Klopp was in charge, you often saw Van Dijk and Konate or whoever it was at the back being left, on their own, 2 against 2 or 2 against 1 when both fullbacks would go forward. I think what we've seen at times is a little bit more of what we would call a traditional setup. That's when Alexander-Arnold goes forward, Robertson tucks in a little bit to make a 3, and vice versa. And it's leaving them a little less exposed at the back, where previously it was like if one fullback went forward, and I don't want to bore you with all this tactics, but if one fullback went forward under Klopp, generally the other one was gone as well. And it was like a second winger coming in at the back post. And that was great to watch. But at times when they lost the ball, there was a lot of pressure on the 2 centre-backs. We're seeing this at Tottenham. We're seeing this at Tottenham under Postecoglou, that the way that they play is putting an awful lot of pressure on the 2 centre-halves, and they've been losing goals, and he's under a bit of pressure. And so I think Slot has just said, listen, let's be a little bit more thoughtful when we're going forward about the defensive aspect of the games. And I think that's one of the reasons, A, Trent Alexander's looked a bit better this season defensively, and B, Liverpool in the Premier League have looked pretty solid and have only lost 2 goals. So subtle changes, but taking a little bit from what Klopp did and putting a bit of what Arne Slot wants to do.
3.5 years since Chelsea won this fixture. Mason Mount's goal giving them victory at Anfield. LME, as we take a look at the odds for the title right now with Arsenal, City and Liverpool, in that order right now, that's going to change. Of course it is. But if Chelsea get all 3 points on Sunday, if we've got a 3-horse title race right now, do they become a 4th horse in the title race?
I mean, here's the thing. Yes, but opinions change based on facts. And I think we're still in these early stages of the Premier League season where you can have as many as 5 teams fighting for these Champions League spots in the title race. The thing about Chelsea, that we say a lot about Liverpool regarding the easy schedule. After Manchester City in the opening weekend, Chelsea has not played anybody else in the top 5. This is now a really big test. If they beat Liverpool, then there is serious discussion to talk about how, number one, Enzo Maresca has been doing with Chelsea, and how exciting this team is from an offensive standpoint, and rectifying a few things at the back, but from an offensive standpoint, they're doing well. Then you start talking about, well, how far can they go? But when I look at their schedule, they also have some tricky things to come up with. Here's the great news for Chelsea fans, though. They have a much more different squad for the Conference League than these other teams that have to play in the Champions League. So, the importance of staying healthy is key. Cole Palmer, for example, he's not even included in the Chelsea playing list when it comes to conference. So he can just focus on the Premier League and, of course, important cup competitions. If they beat Liverpool, then we are talking about, well, how far can this Chelsea side go? But again, it's so tight up there. And it's so important to understand that there's so much to go. Liverpool, for example, I think, have been so good, but we have to remind ourselves that they still have to play Arsenal, Brighton twice, Aston Villa. Then, by the way, after that, as Craig was mentioning, there's also Champions League matches, including against Leipzig and Leverkusen. And then in the space of 5 days, a little bit shortly after the international window in November, they have to play Manchester City and Real Madrid. So much happens between now, the Christmas window, and all of that. But you cannot deny this very fact that I have been so impressed with Chelsea Football Club under Enzo Maresca, that at the very end, their sort of mentality of like, you score 2, we'll score 3, like really impresses me, specifically because all these goal contributions are coming from so many other people. Oh, and by the way, you have Cole Palmer. If they beat Liverpool at Anfield, then you can start having a discussion, well, how far can they go? But there's a lot of football to be played as well.
If Chelsea beat Liverpool at Anfield, it's a great result. They're not going to win the Premier League. They're not even going to come close. The big fights to get in the Champions League spot, 4th spot. The top 3 will be the top 3 at the end of the season in any given order. But Chelsea it's been an excellent start aesthetically, but they have absolutely no chance of winning this Premier League because 38 games, they've already dropped points against the likes of Palace and others. They're just not as good as the teams above them. They're a work in progress. That's a bit. If they finish 4th this year, that would be a brilliant season. Bearing in mind the mess that it's been at that football club, and the hirings and the firings and behind the scenes. If they finish 4th, Maresca has done a brilliant job.
Okay, crystal ball time. Predictions for Sunday. Craig, Liverpool, Chelsea at Anfield.
2-1 Liverpool. Same as I said on the FC show last night, because I don't want to look even sillier than normal by changing that. So, 2-1.
Not going down the Stevie and Shaka route, and then I told you so because they predicted a win, a loss, and a draw. LME. Well,
Liverpool are unbeaten in their last Premier League matches against Chelsea, though 5 of them have ended level, and I'm sticking with that. I think it's going to be a draw, 1-0.